Welcome to Mainland Television Regional News. I'm Graham O'Brien, and coming up in today's bulletin, last weekend's Heads in the Sand gets a heads up from the street. Meat robbery deals a big blow for business right on Christmas. Some police advice for the silly season, and much more. The dam isn't built yet and may not yet be built, but it certainly is sucking up time and money while the discussion is taking place. This week we reported that CEO Lindsay McKenzie stated that he will be advising Council not to proceed on the two presented funding options proposed for the Waimea Dam project at the meeting to be held on Thursday. We sent Chrissy Small along to talk to the protesters who were about to attend that very meeting.
Maxwell, what's happening here today?
Well, it's the first of a long process, and we're hoping today that the council will respond to the community's needs and the responses. They've had a huge response of people saying they don't want the dam, they don't need it, they believe that there's alternative choices with conservation, and the council's still in the position where they are still intending to proceed and put $25 million to one side for the long-term plan. We're just trying to say to these people, you've consulted with the people, they adamantly don't want it, and you should stop the process today.
Okay, now there's been some new developments since we last met here, and I believe the CEO is going to actually stand up and say the funding models as presented are not substantial enough.
That's absolutely correct, and the people have been telling this for a long time. I told them 2 years ago there was an uneconomical, unaffordable scheme for the whole community, and it will financially ruin this society and the Tasman District Council people. I've been to all the submission process, I've gone to many meetings, and I've heard people say the same story all the time, that it will run them off their land, it will create bankruptcy. Even the big irrigators on the plains are saying it's unaffordable, totally unaffordable. But the essential thing is it's not needed. That's what has not been considered. And there's alternatives around, which like weirs could be put in the river. It's been tried in the past, been very successful. This council needs to open their horizons and consider those factors.
Okay, Maxwell, so you've got quite a few people coming today, I guess?
Yes, I have. Not specifically, I didn't organise this, but I'm very keen that people do come here, and they need to tell the council very clearly what their impressions are of the dam proposal. It's been bulldozed along, and in my view, it's been hid in the closet for a long time. They should never have done it. They come out of the event in October, and the only time they come out of the closet to speak to the community is when they want them to pay for the bills, which is just extraordinary.
Okay, so what is the driver of this dam project? What do you think it is?
I think it's a small group of irrigators who have considerable financial benefit from it. It's a business decision of theirs. They want someone else to pay their business expenses. Simple as that. It's a very small group, and the majority of people in the community are going to be disadvantaged by this proposal.
So why do you think council are listening to them?
By the sheer number. We've been a small group of people have been saying this for a long time. When the public were aware of the costs that are coming out and what is actually happening, I think they had 770 submissions on this process, and I think 90 to 95% of them are totally opposed to the dam project.
Okay, so council officers are obviously looking at the concerns of the people and are kind of siding with them at the moment.
They need to. It's important. Any council is elected by the people, and in my view can be removed by the people. They need to hear the people's views, and it's very strong that people are feeling very emotional about the ongoing effects to them, both financially and in their homes. And one of the most significant factors that it's been put to one side is the extensive earthquake fault lines that run through this dam site. I've just come down. I spent a week at a hearings, resource consent hearings in front of commissioners, and the chief civil engineer who's in charge of this project has told this commissioners that there is active fault lines throughout this dam site, and to date the council have never acknowledged that. In fact, just the opposite. They've put out information to say there is no faults, no problems with this dam site, and I say there is, and it concerns me greatly when you think of the activities in Christchurch and what could potentially happen into the people in Brightwater here. It's just a devastating effect will be.
So the process sounds a bit faulty then?
Absolutely, and one of the things I say quite clearly to these councils, you can't keep getting information from the same source all the time. You need to jump the fence and look at the opposite view to get a robust decision, and that has not been completed at all, in my view.
What do you want to happen today, Max?
I think they should just vote against putting the $25 million as they intend to do into the long-term plan. They need to say no dam, and the community will be quite resilient to exist without the problems of a dam on site.
Max Clark, thank you very much for your time today.
Chrissy also caught up with the councillor and Deputy Mayor Tim King about the proposed dam outside Tasman Council.
What do you think of the shenanigans going on out here then?
Oh, I think it's good to see people exercising their right to have a say in the process, so no, I've got no problem with it at all.
Yeah, so what is your stance on the dam at the moment?
I still think it's something that has to be done for the region. I think everyone recognises the funding is a massive challenge, and it's always been pretty clear that without outside funding, whether it be from the Crown, Nelson City, it was always going to be a difficult ask. But I'm confident that other funders will come on board and irrigators will step up and make their contribution, and hopefully a dam will go ahead.
Do you think there are other alternatives than the dam though?
Look, I've been involved in this for quite a long time. There's been studies done for decades going back, a long time into ways of providing secure water source for the Waimea Basin. I believe at this stage this is the best option. If it can be achieved, if the funding becomes available through the sources that are out there at the moment, then I think for the long term this is the right choice. If however this doesn't go ahead, then I'm sure people will continue to look for alternatives as they have done for decades and decades.
What about new builds having water tank catchment?
Well, I think in terms of urban water supply, there are a number of options that can ease the peak demand, but I don't think water tanks in houses is going to replace the need for reticulated water anytime soon.
But if we look at it, it's not really the home users that we're looking at servicing with this dam, is that right?
Well, it's a combination. I think it's pretty clearly a combination of urban users and irrigators, because the council's domestic water supply will need supplementing either through this scheme or through some other method if Richmond and the surrounding area is going to continue to grow as it has done for the last, has always done.
What about people utilising more grey water resources?
Again, all these options like water tanks, utilising grey water, they're all options people can exercise now. I don't like the idea of the council forcing people to do it. One of the key signals is the price of water, and as the price of water will, I think, continue to rise, then people will definitely look at options to supplement that in their own circumstances. It suits some people, it doesn't suit other people, and a bit like the discussion with this, one of the big issues is compulsion. And so people are unhappy with compulsion for this scheme, so I don't know why they'd necessarily support compulsion for water tanks or other things. They're all costly on individual property owners.
Yeah. Oh well, let's hope that council don't make people have to pay for this dam if they don't want to. As a ratepayer, I certainly don't want to.
I think it'll be an interesting decision. I think Lindsay's report I fully support. I think it addresses the two key issues, which are compulsion and total council funding. It was probably always a very optimistic kind of view that the council could fund a scheme like this, and I think the approach that's been taken by the council is entirely the correct one, and when we get to June next year, hopefully there'll be a lot more information on which to base a final decision.
Tim King, thank you very much.
No problem.
With the silly season upon us, we caught up with Senior Sergeant John Price to ask him about how people can keep themselves and their possessions safe, plus some tips on how to stay out of trouble.
I'm here today with Senior Sergeant John Price, Preventions Manager, to talk about some of the precautions people can take about over the holidays with their safety. So with the silly season approaching, what kind of things could people, should they look out for, should they start doing?
Well, I think I need to talk about personal safety, the safety of people's property, and I'd also like to talk briefly about some road policing issues. So I guess if we start off with personal safety, I think alcohol has a large part to play in people's personal safety, and moderation, I guess, is the key. If you're in a group of people, it's really important to look after each other and make sure everybody gets home safely. Everybody, I hope, will have heard about the new drink driving legislation, which relates to a lower alcohol limit of 250. So the key message there for people is if you're going out, if you drink, don't drive, because the limits are very low and there are substantial penalties which people can face, and also it's not safe to do that.
And how about with people's property then?
Well, it's really important that people secure their own property. Christmas time we have a lot of visitors. Most of them are really good people who enjoy our community and enjoy visiting here. But there are certain people who come who aren't like that, and we do have an increase in the theft from vehicles during this time of year. So it's really important that people lock their cars when they're leaving them. That they secure valuables out of sight so that opportunists are not able to see their valuables and easily get into their vehicles. And the same applies to your home. If you're going away, make sure that someone picks your mail up, checks your house to make sure it remains secure. If you've got the opportunity, have lights that come on automatically so it looks like your house is being lived in, and make sure that you keep it secure. And if you're not going away, the same thing applies. If you're at home and you're going out for the afternoon, make sure you shut the windows and lock your house. I know it gets really hot because it's summertime, but it's better than coming home and find someone's been into your home.
Very true. Okay, so as well then, obviously there's going to be a lot of people on the road. Obviously they're going to be staying off if they've had a drink, but is there anything else that they should be looking out for with their cars and stuff?
Oh yes, I think this time of year people travel quite long distances sometimes, so it's really important to have breaks, to be refreshed. Make sure you get a good sleep before you travel a long distance. When you are driving long distances, have breaks during the journey. People will have seen on television some issues around speeding and the police attitude to speeding. Well, what we're saying is that if you break the speed limit, you break the speed limit. And the officers on the roads today have the discretion as to whether they issue with an infringement notice, but you can rest assured that if you break the speed limit, regardless of what speed over the limit you're doing, a police officer, if he sees you, will stop you and speak to you. They have the discretion on whether they issue an infringement notice, and that will often depend on the road conditions and other matters. But the important thing is, whatever road you're on, you should drive to the conditions of the road and the weather and the associated things that are associated with that. So the speed limit is the speed limit, but there are other factors that should impact on how you drive and what speed you drive.
But that means people have to, whatever the speed limit is, they have to stay under it no matter what. But are there any other kind of distractions that they need to look out for?
Yeah, we've been doing some work recently around cell phone usage by people driving, and I've got to say that the results are disappointing for us. We would rather do these types of operations and not catch people, but recently we have been catching far too many people using their cell phones while driving. And all the evidence is that when you're using a cell phone, it distracts you from your concentration of driving and increases your rate of having a crash or causing someone else to have a crash. And crashes result in harm to people, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah. Okay, so as someone who's been in a car crash myself, it'd definitely be good to avoid it. So for everyone who is watching, you've been told what to look out for. You know to keep your speed down. You know to lock your doors and your windows in your car. And thank you for taking the time to give these warnings to people.
Thanks very much.
A nationwide protest took place last weekend, and Nelson was among those that showed support for action against climate change. Concerns are that an increasing heating of the planet caused by human activity will see us sooner rather than later have to deal with, among other negatives, increasing tidal erosion caused by sea level rise, especially around our New Zealand coastline. With the regular extreme weather patterns bringing an increase in extreme weather events, have convinced many that climate change is a real concern, but not our government, according to the Heads in the Sands organisers. Coal Action Network arranged the protest at 11 beaches around the country to coincide with the departure of Climate Change Minister Tim Grosser for international climate talks in Lima, Peru. New Zealand may have to face the consequences of their non-action to cut carbon emissions by facing a large international bill that could range from anywhere between $3 billion to $32 billion. The New Zealand government has since withdrawn support from the Kyoto Protocol signed into by the Helen Clark Labour government. And New Zealand's latest proposal suggesting emission targets not be legally binding is a proposal backed by Minister Mr Grosser and has angered climate protesters. Last Sunday, protesters arrived at Tahunanui Beach armed with spades to dig a head-size hole before assuming the position of placing their heads in the sand to show their belief that the New Zealand government is failing the people while continuing on promoting mining and offshore oil drilling and by weakening the Resource Management Act.
Well, I believe we need to look after our coastlines and our marine life, and I don't like the idea of them drilling and having those booms going off, upsetting all the marine life. And yeah, I thought it was a good cause. Come down and support it, and yeah, be part of the protest. Yeah, so yeah.
That's fantastic. And with the climate change, you're worried about the oil drilling and the use of fossil fuels and so on?
Yeah, we need to make more of an effort to sustain a future for our generations, and yeah.
Well, I'm just fed up seeing governments making the wrong decisions, really. Yeah, coal mining, deep sea oil drilling, the TPPA, it's all nonsense. You know, you just have to listen to the radio, you hear the common sense about us giving away our controls to corporations and the climate change. It's real, it's happening. You know, storms in the Philippines, massive temperatures all around the world this year, records broken. So yeah, I came down and stick my head in the sand, act like the government, but only for a little while, and protest as much as I can, make as much noise as I can to make some change happen.
I can't say I am well informed. I study this daily. I run an electric bike business in Nelson and distribute all over New Zealand, the Electric Bike Hub. But I study this daily because it is a riveting development in our lives. Nothing like this has ever happened before, and anyone who thinks that we just can go on, you know, in a petrol-focused society, we just have to get the word out to them. Policymakers, get a clue. Really look at the science. It's overwhelming, and it's impeccable science, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous what they're pointing towards if we do nothing. Business as usual is a catastrophic business result.
Great, Jace. Hey, thanks very much for your comments.
Our government is promoting mining and deep sea oil drilling exploration. Do you think our government is taking climate change seriously, and why?
I think the government taking climate change seriously, but perhaps not as seriously as many of us would like.
I don't think they're taking climate change remotely seriously. I think business always comes first over every argument against the environment. I think their behaviour is absolutely despicable, and I find them the most detestable government that I've ever encountered.
They're not that interested in saving the environment.
In general, I think the problem is that there's big business on one side, governments on another, goodwill on a third, and, you know, now the twain shall meet. So it's an ongoing problem, isn't it, and will continue to be.
Climate change is a very debatable subject, and personally I think that our government is doing the right thing. I've just recently been on a tour and went to a lecture on fracking, and that also is a very contentious thing. But having seen this lecture, I think that everything in moderation. We've got to look at what's good for our country, don't we? That's the big question, and who better than our elected representatives to do that?
Awesome.
A burglary at the butcher's shop in Whakatu Estate over the weekend was reported to police Monday morning. Sergeant Craig Barker of the Tactical Crime Unit said thieves had taken a substantial amount of meat that was likely to be intended for commercial purposes. He said the offenders would have required a large van or small truck to remove the goods. Taken in the burglary were about 30 large Christmas hams, several hundred salamis and a large quantity of steak. The theft was an extremely harsh blow for the business owner, who has suffered a run of bad luck. The business had moved to Nelson from Christchurch after being hit twice by earthquakes in the city. Shortly after moving to Nelson, the premises suffered from the Whakatu flooding, and more recently it was damaged by fire after a neighbouring building caught fire. We sent James to speak with Ulrich Heck who has been knocked by this latest incident just before his busiest time.
I'm here this morning with Ulrich Heck to talk about the terrible robbery that's happened at his workplace. So Ulrich, what was taken from here?
All my meat and a little bit equipment, but it's not major, but mainly the meat. All the Christmas hams, which was prepared, and salamis, everything. My whole cool room empty.
How much is this going to affect you?
Oh, quite a lot. The reason is I have not much to sell, or I have to stock up and try to make as much as possible in the last 2 weeks before Christmas. That's all what I can do.
Do you still think you're going to be able to make the Christmas orders, or is this going to affect the families there as well?
I try my best, and I think I have a few night shifts before in ahead of me, but I can't promise anything. But I try my best to make everyone happy and get all the orders done.
Well, we hope you can. And is there anything people should look out for? Like if there's any meats on the streets that would be yours that they should really not stay?
Definitely, that would be much appreciated if someone get offered some special meats. And I'm quite sure my products are quite unique. That means they're actually not difficult to find. If someone get offered some meat, please go forward, call the police, or come even here and let me know that we can maybe find the guys who burgled all these things.
And are there any kind of special packaging that they should look out for that might link them back to you?
Also a few Christmas salamis were in a special casing which I import from Germany, and boxes which they are from Germany, which nobody has here. That may be a thing, but a lot of meat were even unpacked. Even the raw meat, which I had prepared for this week's production, they only took the raw meat, everything. And yeah.
Wow, and if anybody can give a hand, is there anything they can do to help you?
Definitely in the future to come around and buy some meat and enjoy the good quality which I do, and that would be actually a big thing to support me for the near future. That would be a nice thing.
Do you have anything to go on about the people that did take the stuff, like how many there were, or any video footage or anything of them?
Also, I would say, look, that was around 12 to 1400 kilos of meat, and I'm quite sure you can't take that by yourself out of the cool room. Also, that must be really targeted and a bunch of people to do that. Even if you can't get all the meat in one go in a car, that means there must be here with a truck or something. Also, that must be, from my opinion, it looks like really targeted and organized. Also, it's not an one go situation. That was really targeted and.
Yeah, so it's obviously not just something random then.
No, definitely not.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about all this, and hopefully you can get all sorted again and get back on your feet. And if there's anyone who does know anything or has seen anything, heard anything, then please contact the police, because it really is a shame what's happened here. And thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming over.
No problem at all.
Thank you.
And finally, Mainland Television News is taking its normal summer break from the 12th of December and will be back on air from January the 12th. In the meantime, from all of the team, we wish you and your family a very enjoyable summer holiday. We'll leave you now with some of the news event highlights of 2014 from the Nelson and Tasman region. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
New World has something for everyone this Christmas. This week when you spend $150 or more, you'll get a $10 voucher back. Get 2 Mainland Special Reserve Brie or Camembert for just $7 and Just Juice fruit juices only $3.99. It must be Christmas.
Social networking is all the rage on the internet, and millions of people all over the world visit one of the many social media sites every day, like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. A new social network that allows you to get paid for posting pictures. This platform brings e-commerce and social media together in one place and makes it possible to make money by sharing your content online. The system is very simple to use, whether you log into the website or use the mobile app. How does it work? The website works very much like any other social media with a twist. You can earn money from the content you share. You can increase the opportunity of making additional income by connecting your other social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All you need to do is learn 3 simple steps. Snap it, tag it, and share it. Sign up today, http://kiwi1.igrowtour.com.
From small cars to trucks to commercial vehicles, we have all the leading brands of tyres, including Bridgestone. Our local professional qualified team serve the entire region 24/7. Tasman Tyre Treads, serving Richmond, Motueka and Golden Bay.
Sit and Be Fit is on at the Victory Community Centre Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. at the Victory Community Church, 238 Upper Vanguard Street. School terms only. Fun while you get fitter, work at your level. For more information, please contact Shirley on 547 1433 or 021 121 8023. On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us, and we'll bring you the latest news and events from around the region again tomorrow.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.
Why would you want to pay as much as $1,000 for a single bed mattress when you can buy a high quality locally made mattress like this for as little as $220? And a queen size mattress could cost you in excess of $3,000, but at Nelson Beds you could have a mattress like this as low as $425. So why would you go out and spend a fortune on your child's bedroom when you can come to Nelson Beds and buy a complete single mattress and base set, a 7-drawer Scotch chest, a headboard and a 3-drawer bedside cabinet for as little as $979? So call and discuss our custom manufacturing options and local after sales service at Nelson Beds, Nelson's only bedding manufacturer.
Hi, my name's Ian Mortimer. Mortimer Auto Upholstery is your one-stop shop for all your upholstery needs. We do car and boat interiors, boat canopies, ute tonneau covers, canvas and PVC fabrication. Call in and see us in Oxford Mews, 72 Oxford Street, Richmond.
Discover the Belgrove Tavern, just 20 minutes south of Richmond on State Highway 6. A restaurant, functions, weddings, barbecue, a garden bar with lots of room for kids. Come in, see us.